What's up, YouTube? It's me again, Jake, and today we're going to be reacting to 3 scary highway stories. This video was posted by Mr. Nightmare. Shouts out to them, and let's get right into it. We're going to turn the lights off to make it extra scary once again. But I can't do this. Alright, let's hop right into it. I don't know what to expect. Once again. Alright, 3 stories. Story 1.
It happened on a night that I was the designated driver among my group of friends after a party. My friends were Michael, Eddie, and Daniela. We live in the country, so anytime we wanted to go to the bars or parties, we'd have to travel long distances.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a big deal for one of us to be sober enough to drive.
Don't drink and
We
drive.
were driving down the 513, which is an unlit highway littered with the occasional house or two, but mostly forest. The road leads to town where most of the bars are. This story takes place on the way back from town. Daniela started to cry that she had to piss really bad. I told her she'd have to wait a while longer, but not gonna lie, I started to get the urge as well. That mixed with the fact that Daniela was now screaming in her drunken fit, I figured
Dang.
why not pull over to the side of the road and just piss somewhere in the woods. Daniela got out first and disappeared into the crops on one side. I went to the opposite side of the road and slightly into the woods just because I'm the type of person who can't have people watching me piss.
Yeah.
I finished first
Same,
and
bro.
got back in the car. Eddie and Michael were singing to the roaring rap music playing on the radio, while I pretty much just sat there in silence, growing impatient. My 2 drunk friends didn't seem to find anything strange about the fact that Daniela had now been gone for 5 minutes, so I got back out to call her name. Michael has a much stronger voice than I, so when he screamed for her, it would be impossible for her not to hear. But still, she didn't call back. I didn't want to go in those crops, but I kind of felt like I had to since she's my friend, and I was the most aware at that moment. I forced
Good friend.
Michael to come with since I was afraid to go in alone. Eddie stayed in the car, he was just too far gone at this point. With the flashlight from my glove box, Michael and I pushed our way through the thick, overgrown crops, walking in the only direction we could think to go, straight away from the car. Michael was calling Danielle's name while laughing his ass off. I could understand why he was finding it funny in his condition, but I just wanted to make sure she was alright and get home. Over the sounds of her own footsteps brushing crops aside and Michael's laughter, I heard something else in the near vicinity. I put my arm out to Michael's chest to halt him. Now all that could be heard was the night breeze blowing through the crops. "What is it?" Michael whispered, to which I responded, "Shh." "That." Michael called out Daniela's name again. I joined in, figuring it was just her trying to sneak up on us and scare us. And again, the footsteps stopped. So we walked a little deeper into the crops. That's when we came to a narrow clearing stretch. I don't know much about crops and farming or anything, but it seemed to be some little stretch for people to walk
Bro,
through.
I'm scared. I've got to check
It was
behind me.
probably the width of 2 people,
Gotta check behind me.
just enough to walk through. I looked to my left, as far down as the light would let me see, and then to the right. I could hear 3 footsteps, and then a couple crops pushed outward into the opening, as somebody stepped into view. At first my light was only revealing their
Oh,
legs,
please don't. No
so by
jump scares,
default,
no
under
jump
the
scares.
circumstances, I assumed it was Michael. However, the light revealed it to be not Michael,
No jump
but
scares.
instead some random man who I'd never seen before. His facial features weren't clear enough to give a good description, but he didn't look friendly.
Bro, it's 1
I
a.m.
ran
I
for it
can't
back in the
take
only
this.
direction I remembered coming from. I guess I ran so fast that it only took me about 10 seconds to make it back to the car. Eddie was passed out in the car at this point, so I didn't bother trying to get help from him. I was
good that you
honking the
ran.
horn to get Michael's and hopefully Daniela's attention. The sight of that man just disturbed me.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he owned this land or not. I continued to land the horn until finally
That horn
Michael
scared
came
me,
out of the
bruh.
crops, dragging Daniela, who seemed to be out cold. I got out to help him lift her back inside of the car and plop her on the seat.
Damn.
Michael pointed out the gash on her forehead, as if she had been struck with a heavy, sharp object.
Damn, bro.
Michael seemed to be sobering up pretty quickly due to the situation. He advised I drive to the nearest hospital, which was 10 minutes away. The drive there was not fun. It was full of panic and yelling. We brought Daniela in to have her wound treated as soon as possible. It was only then that Michael explained to the nurses, not me, that he saw some guy dragging her collapsed, unconscious body before fleeing deeper into the crops after noticing him.
Oh, shit.
He never mentioned that in the car, but it made perfect sense now. That man in the crops with us that night did this. Daniela was awake after she got all stitched up, and she had no recollection of the entire night,
That's
from
creepy.
the moment we stepped into the party to the moment she got struck in the head.
Damn, really? You were that gone? So that was part 1 of 3 scary highway stories. I could only do like I have to break up into like 2 or 3 parts because YouTube only allowed me to post like 15 minutes. So that's part 1, man. The story wasn't that scary. Like, it was kind of creepy. The thing about Mr. Nightmares, they don't really post like jump scares or anything. So you don't really have to like get. Even though I was preparing for a jump scare, like they don't really post that. So it's pretty good. Shout out to Mr. Nightmares, did his thing once again. I love his channel. And yeah, until next time, part 2 is coming soon. Peace.